Hi, Cornerstone. Pastor Nick here on this cozy rainy day. A perfect day, really, to snuggle up with a cup of coffee and a good book. And that's what I've been doing here as I've been working through Sinclair Ferguson's book, Devoted to God's Church, with a cup of Sunnyside coffee. And so we are looking this week at chapter 7 of Ferguson's book, which is on baptism. I found this chapter to be very encouraging and challenging at the same time. Encouraging as Ferguson sets forth the significance of our baptism as a naming ceremony, that the triune God in baptism is putting his name upon us. The triune God is speaking to us and revealing to us the truths of the gospel, the truths of Christ and our union with him as he is received by faith alone. And so there was great encouragement in pondering some of those grand realities, but also great challenge as Ferguson was correcting us in that we so often get caught up in peripheral matters with regards to baptism. We so often are focused on how much water should be used, or what the proper mode of administering it is, or whether or not it ought to be administered to babies. All of those things, which are important questions, those are things that we ought to think about and ought to know what we believe and why we believe it. But so often we can fixate upon those things without actually thinking about the practical, functional, everyday significance of our baptism. What does it actually mean for me to be baptized? And what is the significance of my baptism that happened so many years ago for my life today? Ferguson draws upon the well-known statement of Martin Luther, where he would oftentimes remind himself, I am a baptized man. In the face of temptation, in the face of doubts and fears, he would pick up his soul and he would speak to himself the truth that he was baptized. He would remind himself of the significance of that he had been set apart from the world for God. And he would remind himself of all the spiritual realities that have been signified and sealed in the waters of baptism. And we need to do the same, friends. We need to be thinking more about our baptisms than we do. We need to be, as the Westminster Divines called it, improving upon our baptism, to be meditating upon the realities that are set forth in it, the realities of our union with Christ, of our death to sin, and our newness of life in him, and of the fact that God has washed us clean of all of our iniquities. Just think about what it is that God is telling us in our baptism, and think about how that would change today for you, with all of its difficulties, with all of its frustrations, with all of its trials. If you could but remember and have fixated upon your mind and your eyes these grand gospel truths, how would that change the way that you and I live? If you haven't had a chance to read this chapter, I strongly encourage you to do that. And because I will be on study break and vacation for the next 2 weeks, I will not be sending out videos covering chapters 8 and 9, but let's go ahead and continue to read those over the next 2 weeks. And we will be finishing up Ferguson's book soon enough. I hope you all have a very happy and a restful Thanksgiving, and I look forward to seeing you on the Lord's Day.